Welcome to another episode of Excel, Learning the Basics. My name is Jerry Colbert, and in this week's episode, we're going to be learning all about formatting. Coming up next. So here we are within Excel for Mac, and in this episode we're going to go over a little bit about formatting, what it is and why it is useful for creating spreadsheets within Excel. So as you see here, I have just a blank workbook open right now. I don't have any data in it, don't have any formatting done or anything. It's just a blank canvas basically with blank cells and nothing's in it. So what we're going to show here is not necessarily formula driven cells that we're going to have in later episodes, but what we're going to show here is how you can format your spreadsheet in order for it to look aesthetically pleasing, as well as having a way about it that is more productive in its use or more organized in its use. So now let's say, for instance, we wanted to create a simple calendar. For whatever reason, we wanted to create a calendar. There are several different ways you can do such. Now, you can, as you see here, I have block A here highlighted. You can go ahead and just highlight all of them by clicking on block A, clicking on the left mouse button, and dragging until you get to your desired area. Now, there's a few things that you want to do once you get to this area. You can, up here in this area, there's a lot of different formatting that you can do for those cells. Now, for instance, in this situation, I'm creating a calendar. I'm going to want to do a few things here. I'm going to want to put lines in here. Now, you see these gray lines that are already there? They're not going to print when you go to print your spreadsheet. These lines are just gray lines that are indicators of where a cell begins and where it stops. So these are just basically invisible when you go to print. But if you wanted to print, what you would do is you would go up here to this little thing here. It's called borders. And by the way, there's several different ways you can create borders in your cells. You can utilize this, or you can right click and choose another area to get your borders, and we'll go over that in a few minutes. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit this, and I'm going to select all borders. And what all borders does, rather than outside border, is it's going to, as you see here, it shows a border around it as well as borders inside. So since I selected a range of cells here, that's basically put all of these as borders. So watch what happens. When I click on it, now everything there is now a border. But this calendar that we're creating is a little bit on the, I guess you could say, the small side of things. So another thing we can do here is we can right click on these cells over here, the rows, and we want to make them taller. So when we right click on that, we can go down here to row height. Actually, we'll have to do this. We're going to go down here, click on this for row height, and we're going to choose a height that we maybe think it might be. And sometimes you have to play around with it or what have you. Or another thing you can do is, let's say, for instance, I click on one of these and there's a little line there, as you see, when it changes from a arrow to a line. You can also drag it to where you think you want it to be, where it's aesthetically pleasing for one of your cells. And then you can also right click on that cell, look at the row height, and say, oh, that's at 1.25 inches. So now I want to go ahead and highlight all of these here and go to row height and put in the same data. Like that. And when you do that, now all of them are the same height. Also, maybe you want your columns to be at a different height or a different width. So what do? You can drag out one to where you think it should be. Maybe you think, well, that looks pretty doggone square. So I'll go and do that. And I'll just click on this here. Well, actually, I want to click on this first and look at the column width. Column width is at 1.4. Maybe I want it at 1.25 because that would be typically what you would think. And I would click on this here, column width, and 1.25. All right. And so now I have 1.25 down and 1.25 across. And there you go. There is your basic thing. But let's remember, we want this to have numbers in here, and we'll want those numbers to be at the top here. But also, we got to have headers on this as well. We got to have a headers for the day of the week. So what do? We can click on that row by right over here. You see where my arrow's at. Click on that row, highlight it, and insert a row. It's going to insert it at the top, but that one is not formatted. So you see there's different kinds of things that happen when you go and you start working on spreadsheets, but you got to know the underlying basics of a workbook so you're not confused when this happens. So once this comes up here, you see there are no formatting. Now you can choose not to have any as far as the borders go, or you can choose to have borders. In this case, I'm not going to have any borders. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And you're like, well, Jerry, there's more days. Why, yes, there is, my young chap. But you can always highlight one or two or three cells. Click on this little, you'll see a little kind of like a square at the bottom of your selection here. And then you see that your white cursor has now turned into a black cursor. And you can drag over and continue and finish the names of your cells. So you don't have to just type it all in. You can just kind of do it quickly. And a lot of the stuff that we'll be showing you in these upcoming episodes of Excel will be kind of nifty little shortcuts that you can utilize to make your spreadsheet creation a little bit faster. But now if you look here, you see that all of my words here, all of these days of the week, are not centered to the column. So what do? Well, you can click on the row because you're wanting all of these here to be centered. You wouldn't click on the column because it would only center what was here in this column. And so you'd have to do this column and this column. And so what do we want to do? We want to make things easier on us and faster. So what we do is we click on that row and go up here, and these are your centering. Now, at the top here, these are aligning basically vertically. And these down here are aligning horizontally. So these typically I would not use. Typically where it normally is laid out is always bottom justified here. But what I would be utilizing most of the time is this area here, which is going to align it horizontally. And so what I mean here is it's going to align this here in the center of these columns here, even though I selected the row. So when I go and I click here and I hit center text, it's now going to automatically center all of these within this columns. So now here we are. We got that. Now, another thing you can do in order to create yourself a little calendar is you need to create dates. Now, maybe this is a January calendar. Well, what do we got to do? We got to insert another cell or another row. Maybe you want to insert another row. Maybe create two rows. One's going to be blank, so you don't have anything in it for formatting and aesthetic reasons. And then this one, you want to merge all those cells together in order to create yourself one fluid cell all the way across that can be centered. By the way, when you merge all cells, it automatically centers what you want. So maybe you've created yourself a name here, January 2018. Well, you see how it did this? It went January-18 because it has a default script, I guess you could say, of what it thinks that you are wanting for this area or for this program, basically. Well, you can always change this by going to right-clicking on it, going to Format Cells, and going down here to Date and choosing your date format of whatever it is that you want it to be. Okay? And so what do I want it to be? Well, see, in this area, they don't really have what I want. Choices, choices, choices. See, they don't have a choice in here for what I want, so you can always go here to Custom, and we'll go into this to a later date, but you can always create yourself a formula like this, basically. And voila. Then what you could do is you could change the font for this. You could go ahead and make this bigger. And when you do, it expands that cell or that row. And now here you are. You got this right all set, but now you need some numbers. Well, I'm not going to look up exactly when the first day of the month starts because I'm just showing you a kind of demo. But you can go ahead and start putting your dates in here. Like this. And the thing is most people want the number up here in the top left. Well, what you can do is highlight all of these or click on the row. And then you can go over here, left justify it. Now it's down here at the bottom, and you remember this top thing I was talking about? You click on that, and voila, there it goes, right up there at the top. So now you have your calendar with the number up here, number there, and voila. And so you can do that on the rest of your cells. Now, I didn't want to go into a very long episode. I just wanted to kind of give you a brief taste of formatting and show you quite a few different ways that you can format cells. And if you remember earlier when I was talking about creating borders, I said I was going to show you another way you can create borders. You can always right click here, click on Format Cells, and go to the Border tab here, and then select the different kinds of borders that you want, whether that be out of this list or a created list. So you can just go like that, like this, like this, like this, that, and that, or like that, or like this. And you can create yourself borders like that if you want. However it is that you want to create your borders for whatever spreadsheet you're working, that's another way you can do it, which is a little bit different than the normal ones that they have here. Okay? You can also, in this area here, create no borders. So maybe you made a mistake and you need to go back and create no borders there, and then go back and create yourself a border there, and voila, you're done. But anyways, that is formatting. In later episodes, we'll go into more advanced formatting and other different kinds of formatting, and all the formatting stuff is right here. But if you like this episode, please don't forget to click on that like button below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to hit that bell for notifications. And so without further ado, I want to wish you all an awesome day, and let's become more productive. Thank you.